Good day, beautiful tribe. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. Are you ready now to feed your prediction addiction? On this 11th day of November 2025, the 1111 portal of Ascension. An amazing day indeed, especially if you utilize it to the best of your ability. Now, Mercury retrograde, have you noticed that just kicked in a few days ago? And just over the past week, we continue to see more predictions coming into fruition. The visions that I had in the Black Mirror predictions, only 5 days prior, seem to have fallen into place with this Louisville, Kentucky plane crash, the UPS plane crash. Strange things that align with that crash too, by the way, friends. Strange things that align with that event and the event that took place in New York City back in 2001. Including the passing of Dick Cheney, who was VP at the time. Many people say is a big part of it. So is it coincidences or is it symbolic in some way or another? Today, you are going to make your own assumptions, as we all do, from what I'm about to show you in today's show. Now, in November, and in my November forecast, I saw lots of rumblings happening with the Earth. And I talked about major incoming sun flares. And as of today, I believe it was Stephen Burns was talking about a level 5 X-class solar flare that's heading towards the Earth in the next 12 to 24 hours. And things are already shaking, like for our friends in Japan, in the northern region, exactly where I warned. Tsunami sirens rung out, and the smallest of small tsunamis, like really small, did happen, but it still happened. Thankfully, nobody was no big deal. But is there something bigger that's about to hit in the way of earthquakes, tsunamis, and volcanic eruptions? I have no doubt there is, and we are going to talk about that today. We also have flooding in countries that we warned, like Brazil, the Philippines, and there's much more to come, friends. Much more. Another thing that I saw and warned for this month would be a lot of explosions. And this energy of fire coming in also with the energy of water in November and in December. In the past week, we saw a large explosion of a vehicle in the Bronx, New York. We saw another much larger chemical explosion in Mississippi. What's going on with these explosive events? That's what I said was going to happen, explosive events, literally and metaphorically. A very busy week of November we had in the past week. The culling of the ostriches in Canada, sad indeed. Major power outages in Ukraine and other outages across the globe, especially tech outages. Trump warned about our power grid. Did you see that? Should we be concerned about that? That's the big question. The new mayor of New York City, and how this is going to align potentially with my past visions around New York City. The government shutdown that's supposed to be open now. See how that plays out. The $2,000 stimulus checks that they're promising that they're going to send. And my visions of millions of bank accounts that are going to freeze up. Many that are going to lose their savings. I'm going to tell you why. I'm going to tell you where I feel this is going to happen and how you need to prepare today. On this episode 191 of Tuesday's Teatime, baby. Welcome back to the Love Shack Studios. I'm Joseph Tittel, a.k.a. Spiritman JT, Spiritual Medium. And I welcome you back, and I welcome all our newcomers as well, and hope that you are having a great day today on this day of Ascension. A month of Ascension, really. We have indeed just stepped in to the third, and thankfully the final, Mercury retrograde of 2025. While also flowing through that final energy shift of 2025 that kicked in on November 5th on that full moon. So far, it hasn't, in my opinion anyway, has not been quite as intense as I anticipated. But again, I have no doubt that intensity is building up right now, including in Mother Earth's plates, and there's still so much that's going to be played out from November and even for the remainder of 2025. Just a quick Mercury retrograde reminder for y'all. Now is not a good time to buy things things that you have to put together, and especially things that are electronic or motorized. You're going to buy a lemon, you're going to regret it. Trust me, wait to buy that new vehicle. Or even, if you don't wait to buy that new vehicle, you're going to end up with a lemon. So try not to get things fixed or repaired either, because they often don't get completed correctly. Like, the rats invaded my vehicle and I had to have it fixed. And of course, they got it running, thankfully, with the wires, but I still have to take it back because it's not complete. Waiting for parts. There's the Mercury retrograde delays kicking in right there. Probably be better to get it done when this direct retrograde ends on the 29th anyway. And of course, again, expect there to be lots of delays, even more so if you are traveling, because we are now seeing the travel nightmares at airports that I saw in visions over a month ago. Here in the United States anyway. Soon, hopefully, that'll get a little bit better, hopefully, especially with family flying out here for the Turkey Day. Now, as of today, November 11th, we actually have an important transit going into place. Jupiter is now in retrograde in the watery sign of Cancer. And this Cancer transit coming in on the magical 11/11 day of Ascension is pretty amazing, actually. Really amazing. Because Cancers are, in my opinion, the most psychic and intuitive of all zodiac signs. This is going to heighten our abilities intuitively on a whole new level. Very exciting indeed. Especially if you spend a little bit of time in silence and listen to the sound of silence. In meditation, of course, would be even better. And even spending a little time in silence with Mother Nature. I posted a couple days ago a very powerful guided meditation that takes you through this double 11 portals. This meditation all came through from my spirit guides. And it's going to help the first portal shed things that have been holding you back, cords, and stripping you of what needs to be stripped. And then the second portal is going to be the portal that takes you into a higher level of ascension. So be sure to check that meditation out. You can do that anytime this month, but I would specifically do it on the 11th at 11/11 if you can. So, you're watching this late probably. For some of you, you might be able to do it before bedtime. Sit up so you don't fall asleep. If you lie down, you're going to fall asleep. I'll leave a link up above and down below in the description, the 11/11 Portal Ascension Meditation. I'm going to be doing that after I'm done recording all this and getting it uploaded and such. Back to the Jupiter retrograde in Cancer. This is like the 9 vibration, friends, of 2025. It's going to bring in these themes when it comes to humanitarian things. Humanitarian themes like, food, government, housing, all those things, and helping people. And then also, we have the government shutdown and folks who are unable to access food or benefits, which is an interesting point because when we first went into this lockdown, I kept getting the number 10, and I thought that it would be 10 days. And then I felt now this is going to break records, and it did break records. And I thought, I hope not 10 weeks. That would be awful. Well, it actually all started to come to an end on November 10th, yesterday. So there was that 10. That 10 definitely rung loudly in my ears. I just never thought November 10th. I should have thought of that. Darn, the things you should have thought of at the time, but you didn't. So this transit that's happening with Jupiter retrograde Cancer and the 11 vibration today only just helps ensure that the government is going to reopen in the very near future, as it should. And it's going to bring more focus on solving this issue and many other issues that are happening, especially when it comes to humanitarian aid and themes of helping people. This is a great time of karmic review. This is a time where we're going to begin to see both the good and the not so good karma hitting us both personally and playing out all around us and all across the globe. Now through February of 2026 as this lies into place. And you may feel pulled towards the past a little bit. Not to dwell. Remember, don't dwell on the past, but you're going to be pulled to the past. You're going to see that a lot in between now and February. And again, it's not to dwell, but it's to resolve, whether it be old family patterns, childhood memories, the emotional wounds that we may suffer, and they're all going to surface. And they surface Of course, in order for us to be able to release them. So remember that, especially now and around the full moon periods. The full moon in December, which I don't know when that is, probably somewhere around the 4th, 5th, or 6th, and then the one in January. So there'd be time periods where things will really resurface, even more so. Jupiter expands anything that it touches. And in the sign of Cancer, it's going to expand on emotional intelligence. Remember, Cancers are very emotional, as all water signs are, and sometimes have a habit of holding those emotions in. This is going to expand our emotional intelligence and our capacity for compassion. I would highly recommend that you do some journaling, whether it be journaling around your emotions. Hey, write a letter to somebody if you need to express emotions. Doesn't mean you have to send or give them the letter. Do some journaling around your dreams. Maybe some of these reoccurring memories that happen, write it all down, friends. Write it all down. This is a great window of time to reconnect with your roots, with your ancestry, to your ancestral and spiritual lineage, to do some ancestral work and some shadow work. Perfect time between now and February. Now, and especially now in this month of November. This is also a great time to focus on the home, to make some energetic shifts within your home, some feng shui within your home. Start by clearing out some clutter. Personally, I've been doing that, filling bags with clothes and old sheets or blankets that just need to go to donate later this week. I'll probably take them up on tomorrow, Wednesday, up to Flagstaff and donate them. So spend some time outside too. Try to spend some time near the waters. That's really important with the Cancer influence. Remember, water clears blockages. And it also holds information, wisdom, ideas. It was the great Ernest Hemingway that went to Key West, Florida to write all his books. He didn't live there, but he went there to write them because he simply said, I get all my best ideas by the water. So if you're trying to have a breakthrough with ideas or whatever, go sit by the waters, friends. Go sit by flowing waters, especially flowing waters, creek, river, something like that. Now, during this time of extremely heightened intuition, we're going to begin seeing more and more things coming to the surface. Of course, truth. We're going to see a lot of indictments. Whether they go somewhere or not, that's another story, but we're going to see a lot of indictments coming in. We're going to see breaks in major cases, whatever those cases may be. I would imagine something big coming out again in the near future with the Epstein case. I would expect something big even coming out around the Charlie Kirk thing. We know that's been suppressed. And did you notice how Erica was at the White House? Shouldn't she be mourning the loss instead of being around Trump all the time? It's kind of weird. I just find it weird. And I'm allowed to find it weird. Many of you do too. That thought popped in my brain. So yeah, we're going to see a lot more things come into the light. Major cases. And much more of this is going to be solely due to the fact that folks' intuition is going to be the real truth bearer here. When people's intuition opens up and gets stronger and stronger, people just know. I mean, the obvious is more obvious, when they cover stuff up like they happen. You notice even with, we'll just use the Charlie Kirk thing. It's so obvious to many of us because your intuition is heightening. And this is going to happen even more throughout this month and even again between now and the beginning of the new year. Folks are they're already starting to know, without knowing. And soon they're going to know even more. It's going to be interesting. We're going to just use that. We should get shirts that say, you know the truth. More and more folks are going to awaken to the truth. And this is going to be due to their own heightened intuition. That's how we do it, friends. Tap into your intuition. You'll just know. And that's what you come here for, to tap into my intuition. And when people know, they know. And I know I may sound like a broken record right here. But this transit, the Cancer, Jupiter together, like many other recent and even incoming water transits going into place, this is going to bring about more huge water-related events. So here we go again, friends. Here we go again with these super heavy water influences taking place, which can be both positive and negative, of course, always. A balance of both. The battery, we don't get you out of the battery without an equal polarity of positive and negative. So this is another time where we're going to see, of course, heavy flooding. Like they just got wiped out in the Philippines and Vietnam. And now through early February, and some of that's going to come in the form of snow, which is happening right now in many places like Tennessee and North Carolina mountains. They're getting hammered with snow. And I said early season snow was coming. This is definitely early season snow. November 10th and 11th. That cold front sweeping down across America. Yeah, interesting. So now, again, now through February, especially in the coming weeks, I'm warned of tsunami sirens and warnings becoming realities. That makes sense now and again in the coming weeks. This would definitely be a time where tsunamis become more and more of a reality. Like Japan had 2 very tiny reported tsunamis. One, I believe, was reported to be 10 centimeters, which is like 4 inches. That's nothing. And the other one was 20 centimeters. That's just a small warning is how I take it. And that's how our friends in Japan should take it as well. 2 small warnings. The third one's probably going to be Sirius before the big ones come rolling onto their shores. And other shores too, like even the Philippines and Thailand. I saw in the past big waves hitting their area, their beaches and shorelines. Now, at the same time, we're going to see amazing discoveries in the waters and even discoveries from bodies of water that begin to dry up all of a sudden. We saw that with, I just drew a blank, the reservoir in Nevada. Lake Mead, drying up, and they found all kinds of stuff. Probably barrels with, people in them. Left behind by the mafia from Vegas. Nothing would surprise me, but that's what we're going to see. We're going to see bodies of water drying up in some countries and areas that are going to reveal secrets and reveal truths. Remember when the Euphrates dried up a few years ago? I did a video on it called Prophecy in Plain Sight. Go look that one up. And how it revealed the tunnels that went under and the voices coming out of the tunnels that people think are some of the fallen angels that are bound beneath the Euphrates. Yeah, go watch that video, Prophecy in Plain Sight. I'll have to remember and put that up above and down below in the description. But many discoveries we're going to see revealing secrets and truths, dried up rivers, but deep within the oceans as well. Discoveries involving the oceans, marine life. And I remind you that, big things are coming from under the waters. But I also remind you that there could be things that happen when it comes to pipelines, water reserves. We could see dams breaking free with water. I see that happening in Pakistan. So I see something happening in Pakistan. This is coming to me now, Pakistan. And I see a big reservoir or dam that looks like it's starting to burst at the seams. So I would imagine big floods are coming to that area in the near future. And I remind you, anything water related, be aware. You might see water main breaks, especially with the cold temperatures that are sweeping down from the Arctic into Canada and United States. That could freeze up pipes, cause freezing issues and such. This could also bring in freezing rain, water that turns to ice. Not just snow, but more ice. I'd be more concerned with ice, actually, and ice storms that come. And it's nothing new. On another note, that the economy and even the housing markets are literally hanging off the edge of a cliff right now, ready to collapse. I'm laughing with you, not at you. An interesting thing to note with this Jupiter in retrograde with Cancer is I did a little research to see, what big events happened in the past during this particular alignment at the same degree. And this transit occurred in 1930. You remember what happened in 1930? Did you pass your history exams? That's the edge of economic collapse, prosperity, insecurity, and the beginning of the Great Depression. And the housing crisis fall, all happening in 1930-31. So, and look at where our economy is right now. And this can bring this alignment can bring large-scale migration crisis due to climate. And remember the visions I had, I don't know if it was in a channeling video, I forget, or maybe a Black Mirror video, or just a prediction video. But I saw masses amount of people migrating out, which we thought maybe it might be Iran in the future. Hopefully not. But I feel like now this could be more due to some type of a climate crisis, a climate event that happens, like major tsunamis that cause the sinking of a shoreline where people have to migrate somewhere else. They can't go back and live there again. And then, of course, some of this will be due to conflict. And this is strong between now and throughout the whole month of January. The transit's also going to bring focus on homeland and homeland security. Because remember, Cancer is all about the home. It's all about the home, the abode. I have a Cancer moon. It's probably why I'm quite comfortable being home and working from home. I quite love it, actually. It's fabulous and fantastic. And then when I get, a little claustrophobic, which I don't, but when I need to get out, I just go out. Or I come out here to the Love Shack and do some recording for you. But yeah, Cancer is about the home. It's about the homeland and homeland, and homeland security. It's about security in your own home. That includes our countries. That's where homeland and homeland security comes in. So this actually makes me wonder. Remember my past visions and predictions of multiple cities being under fear attacks? And this goes back 3 years ago, I made that prediction or saw that in visions and such. And as you know, 2 to 4 years before some predictions come into fruition. So I would say that these fear attacks are more plausible between now and February just because of this transit and because of the 9 vibration that we're in this year. And even as we step into that 1 vibration in January. So the home is the focus, the home and security. So therefore, some type of an attack on our homeland or your homeland, wherever you may be watching from in the world, because I know we have people all over the world that tune in. And I appreciate that so much. It's so cool, actually. That's one of the amazing things about the internet, that we get to intermingle with people all over the world. So an attack on our homeland, your homeland, would bring, security and homeland security to the forefront, right? Kind of like 9/11 did back in the day. And then they passed all those bills to take more of our rights away. So we need to be aware of that. And then Spirit shows me a flag flying ever so falsely. So yeah, we know how that's going to play out. So we're going to just have to wait and see, friends. All we can say is both crazy, wild, and amazing times that we are in right now, for sure. Beautiful souls, I just want to take a moment to welcome you to the Tittel Tribe and some Tittel tea time today, friends. I hope you're all having a great day. If you're new here, again, my name's Joseph Tittel, a.k.a. Spiritman JT. If you want accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, great meditation, I hope you enjoy that 11:11 meditation. You want to vibe with this tribe, then you definitely got to smash that there, subscribe. Hit the bell, hit the all, so that hopefully you get notifications, but a lot of times, YouTube doesn't always send out notifications. Makes you wonder why. And when they don't send you a notification, that's all the more reason you need to come back to the channel, because you're probably missing something they don't want you to see. Pretty simple. And if I don't pop up in your feed by Tuesday or Wednesday, because we're here every week, me and the spirits, that is, then you're going to want to, the light's facing the wrong direction. Can you see me? You're going to want to check the channel and make sure you're still subscribed. And remember, it helps very much to hit that thumbs up love button. That love button shows the algorithms that you want more content like this that's similar to this on your feed, not just from this channel, but similar channels, similar content and information. And it also helps get this out and build our tribe much bigger and much faster. And please do feel free to share this on your social media platforms. I and the spirits appreciate you so much, and I appreciate all the supporters of this channel, whether you're a member of the YouTube platform, a monthly supporter down below, the supporters monthly at the Subscribe Star Awaken Your Spirit community. The links are down below in the description. Be sure to check that out. But I couldn't do this without you, and I thank you with infinite love and gratitude, and all those that contribute to this channel, and all of our tribe members. And if you just hit that subscribe button, welcome to the tribe, baby. You won't be disappointed here, I assure you. Other than that, you can check all the other links down below in the description and even recommended videos. Let us move on to episode 191. It's a lot of episodes, friends, of Tuesday's Tittel Tea Time, baby. The visions that I had of a plane crash that I saw in the black mirror, my black mirror over here next to me that I gazed into. This was right at the end of October, I believe maybe around the 27th or something like that. And I saw a vision of the plane falling from the sky. I thought it was trying to land, but hey, sometimes we can't be completely detailed. but I saw the plane going sideways. And that kind of matches up pretty closely, or right on with the Louisville, Kentucky, and the strange things that align with this crash. There's other strange things that align with this crash that sort of align, especially if you're a conspiracy theorist, with what happened in 2001 in NYC. Coincidences? Or is it symbology? Is it symbolic in some way or another? We will take a look at that in just a moment. But first, here's a clip of what I saw in the Black Mirror less than a week before the UPS crash. I think it was 5 days prior, 6 days, something like that. So check this out. And before you do, again, you can find my shorts of predictions on TikTok, Instagram, all of them pretty much, but mainly TikTok and Instagram. And I posted what you're about to see on Instagram or TikTok, and it literally blew up. I mean, it's got over 300,000 views already, which is pretty awesome. Wish I could get that on YouTube. I will one day. And then it gave me thousands and thousands of new followers. Some people on TikTok believe that this is pretty accurate, so give it a listen. Let me see this plane. It looks like the plane's trying to land or trying to make an emergency land. But as it's going through the air, it's like going sideways, like it's coming down sideways. It's very strange. Almost like it's trying to go in between buildings or go in between something to avoid it. And it does take a nosedive, and I do see a large, explosion that happens. This looks like a bigger plane. I'm not sure where this is. Kind of reminds me of the one that we had, was that earlier this year in India? Remember that one that crashed into the building or whatever? Kind of reminds me of that, like trying to land, but it's like going sideways. It's very strange. Almost like someone else is trying to steer it. And the pilot's trying to get it to go straight, and someone's trying to steer it sideways. The crash definitely set off a massive explosion, as you see here, and you saw massive, just as I saw in the Black Mirror. Massive explosion, and in the other clip, you can see exactly what I stated in my Black Mirror prediction video, the plane going sideways. And that's exactly what I saw. And that is not common. Someone of course, one of the trolls said, oh, that's common. That is not common for it to go sideways when it's coming down to the ground. Sorry, you're wrong. It's supposed to be even, not sideways. And it seemed really strange to me, and I'm sure it felt really strange to all of y'all as well. And yes, I thought the mirror, I thought in the mirror, that I had a brain twist. I thought it was landing. So, yeah, that's my bad. Can't always be perfect. It looked like it could have been landing, but it was coming down. So, it went up, but then it was coming down, staying at 175 feet. So, of course, it looks to me like it's taking off or getting ready to land, not taking off. Minor difference compared to all the other details and the size of the explosion. I saw a massive explosion. We don't see that with airplanes like that. And also, another thing I said is it reminded me of what happened in India. It's exactly what happened in India. Same similarity. It was taken off and then crashed. Pretty much the same. I know that I got contacted by this Bible news people that wanted my comment because they think that my video is inaccurate. So I have no comment to them. Why? So they can just take my comment and twist it. And as they say, any publicity is good publicity. So good luck with your little article that you're writing about me. Because they found my video and think it's inaccurate and that I'm wrong. Who would even email somebody about that? We want to do an article because we think you're wrong. No, thank you. Do your article. And God bless you. Now remember, not long ago, I also said that I saw trucks on fire, kind of like Tesla lots being set afire. I just saw like all these trucks on fire. And this is just a thought. I'm not saying it's related at all because I don't think it is actually. I just thought it was interesting that UPS plane crashed into a trucking company, a major trucking company, and the hundreds of trucks that were ignited in flames. You could see in the one video clip all the trucks lined up in the one clip and the explosion in the middle. So I just wonder, I don't know, maybe someone will let us know in the comments. I didn't really go to look. What kind of trucks were they? What kind of trucking company was that? Because it crashed in and blew up a whole trucking company. I'm wondering if those trucks deliver food or groceries. Just curious. Maybe somebody can let us know in the comments down below. Now, I also mentioned in past prediction issues around shipping companies, such as UPS and even Amazon deliveries. Remember, I saw problems with that, and that felt more to me like a strike or some type of walkout, something that prevents deliveries from being made. But at the same time, it's interesting that I mentioned UPS, I mentioned trucking companies, and I mentioned fires all within the past few weeks. So there's certainly much more to come with this, friends. Much more to come. No coincidences. And in turn, FedEx and other companies that use that same plane, I forget what the name of the plane is, something, what was the name of that plane? I forget. Not important. But they all pulled that plane from being used. So all UPS and FedEx delivery companies pulled that plane. It's a big plane. That's the other thing I said in that video. It's a big plane. Yes, it was a huge plane. Big plane. Bigger than normal. Hence the large giant explosion, being it just filled up with jet fuel, conveniently. So I would imagine that this is going to impact shipping in some way. I don't know how, but I would imagine it would affect shipping in some way. Pulling all the planes. And I feel that something more is going to come that may actually affect holiday deliveries this season. So start getting your holiday shopping done now before there's some kind of glitch, especially if you're doing online shopping like most people do nowadays. Because malls are almost ceasing to exist. That's something I predicted 15 years ago, that malls and shopping malls would cease to exist. It's happening. They're closing down all over the place. I mean, people don't go to the mall like we did back in the 80s. That was our hangout in the 80s. Mall rats. Do you remember the mall rat? I wasn't a mall rat, by the way. But we did go to the mall. But I wasn't a mall rat. Mall rats lived at the mall. They were there all the time. We had better things to do than just sit at the mall. But we did go to the mall. Of course, it was a thing to do. It's just like we went roller skating. I don't think kids even roller skate anymore. If they do, it's not as popular as it was back in the 80s. So this, again, may affect holiday deliveries, so just be aware of that. 'Tis the season to start ordering. La, 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 la. Did you know that there's a big boycott of online ordering for Black Friday weekend to hurt the buyers? And usually I'm always looking for a good deal, but I think I'm going to join in on the boycott and hurt the billionaires a little bit. Just don't order from them. That's what you do. Hit your mom and pop store. Find a mom and pop store. Now, the plane that crashed, FedEx, since that plane has crashed, FedEx and UPS are now, FedEx is buying up UPS. They're going to become one company now. And they're going to change the name to Fed Up. A little psychic humor for you. A little psychic humor. It's not true. They aren't buying each other up, but it wouldn't surprise me that I just said that. Now, the odd things that are really revolved around this UPS, ups as we call it, plane crash, are very odd to say the least. And as you know, I do not believe in coincidences. So, is this a coincidence? Perhaps validation? That we are living in some kind of AI-controlled matrix? So I tell you, lately, it's really starting to feel that way, doesn't it? So first, we had, on the 4th of November, the announcement of Dick Cheney passing away. And some call him the man behind 9/11. Many people call him that, actually. That same day, we hear that Mamdani wins the mayor race in New York City. The first Muslim ever to lead New York City, the Big Apple. That same day, a plane goes down in Louisville, Kentucky, 3 miles from my cousins. Interesting enough. Hey, cuz. The flight number was 2976. 2976. Now, how many people, if we add Dick Cheney into that mix, because he passed away that day, then it would be 2977. How many people died in 9/11? 2977. Interesting enough. And the plane goes down at Muhammad Ali Airport in Louisville. Muhammad Ali. Who was one of the first ones responsible for 9/11? Haidid Muhammad. There's that Muhammad. Interesting enough. And in the plane crash, the mayor of I guess, Louisville or whatever, Kentucky, stated that 9 people passed and 11 were injured. That was the first statement they made. Now, it changed a lot. Yes, I get that. I understand that. But the first announcement made by the mayor was that there were 9 people that were perished and 11 injured. 911. Interesting enough. And, of course, again, that has changed. So save your comments. I know it's changed. It changed a few times, actually. At one point, they said 7 people killed and 11. But then the announcement was 9/11. And then I think it even is more than that. I think it was 14 total or something now. Very sad thing indeed. But, that's what he announced. Now, the type of plane that crashed was actually decommissioned from passenger service back on October 26, 2014, in which, if we take that date from the time it went down, it would have been 9 days, 11 years. No coincidences. You can look this up for yourself if you don't believe me, because I know people will. Now, Mandani was born October 18th, 1991. He was actually 33 years old when he decided to run. Of course, during elections and all, he's 34 years old, but he was 33 when he decided. 33 years old, right? Now, if we take the time of his birth until the Trump inauguration, I didn't figure this out, by the way. I got this from someone else. I take no credit, and I did double check these numbers. But if we take the time from October 18th, 1991, when Mandani was born, to the inauguration day of Donald Trump this year, it just so happened to be 33 years, 3 months, and 3 days. 33. There's that 33 again, friends. That's Jesus' number. There's also a 33 vertebrae in your spine. The ascension of your spine and the kundalini energy up your spine in the 33 takes you to the ascension or to the Jesus consciousness. Now, the towers, if you don't know this, stood for 33 years before they were blown up demolition style, as we know. And let's not forget, Trump is from New York City. Now, the plane only reached 175 feet before crashing. 175, we were told, was actually the flight number of the second plane that flew into the towers in 2001. Yo, you just can't make this crap up. As I tell my students, you just can't make this crap up. Like, I'm sorry. I don't know who dug deep into that, but thanks for digging deep into that. And I did confirm it and even went on AI to add up. And yeah, it's pretty creepy. What do you think? Let me know again in the comments below. And of course, be kind in the comments below. Otherwise, it could end up being, don't contradict and just be kind. Or otherwise, it could end up being the last comment that you're ever able to leave in this channel. Positive vibes, friends, positive vibes. Now, there is more coming around the plains, as I stated in the November forecast and several recent prediction videos, such as the last Black Mirror predictions where I saw different things with planes and airports shutting down, blackouts at airports. So make sure you go and check out those videos if you missed them. Lots of stuff, lots of predictions were put out. That's the other thing that person said from the Bible writers or whatever they are, media. The other predictions in your video didn't come true. I only just put the video out a week ago, dude. Give it a time. Like, hello? Go back to my other predictions and the hundreds, thousands of things that I said specifically that did come true. I can't stand those naysayers, especially, of course, they're religious. Of course, they're going to try to bash me and make me look like a false prophet. But a prophet is one that spreads the false gospel of Jesus Christ. That is a false prophet. Not someone that predicts the future. Big difference. That's a psychic. I am a psychic. And a prophet that predicts the future. Not one that preaches the false gospel of Jesus Christ. Oh no, I would never do that. But anyway, be sure to check out those videos if you happen to miss them. And if you are traveling anytime in the near future, be sure to expect delays. Even though the government's still opening up, there's still going to be delays, and I still see travel nightmares, not just in the United States, but in other countries too. Some of that going to be related to weather, which I imagine is happening in North Carolina and Tennessee right now, and wherever else it might be snowing. Crazy. And also be mindful, remember, friends, we are still in that current energy of accident-prone energy. Whether it be driving or even just a slip or fall, just be mindful so that you don't have your own little accident. As long as you're mindful and not scared and prepared, you'll be just fine. In my November forecast, I saw lots of incoming rumblings when it came to Mother Earth, especially before or after the new moon, as I stated. The full moon was on the 5th. So, we're right after the full moon, and it wasn't long after the full moon that our friends down there and up there or over there in Japan were rattled by several large earthquakes. And if you recall, I did warn Japan just within the past week or two. On the 9th, 4 days after the full moon, Sunday, they were hit by a very strong 6.8 earthquake in the northern region. That was the area I warned. I said the northern regions of Japan. Exactly where I warned. Now, tsunamis sirens did ring out, and the smallest of small tsunamis did hit. No big deal. Much larger, more like, much larger ones on its way, no doubt. But one was only 10 centimeters, which I think is about 4 inches. The other 20 centimeters, which would be about 8 inches. Not much, unless you're standing right on the beach. Maybe that would affect you. But there's still something coming, friends. Something bigger is about to hit in the way of earthquakes and tsunamis, especially Japan. So actually, let's take a quick look at the earthquake map. Let me pull up the earthquake map and refresh because it's been open for a day here. All right, here we go with the earthquake map. And again, as I said, it was 154 earthquakes in the past week. But now we're down to 144. So it shrunk down a little bit. But look down this list. I just want you to go down. We're going to go all the way down to the big earthquakes that hit Japan. So that's the only one in red. There's 2 in red. Red are the big shakers, which obviously set off tsunami warnings. The first was the 6.8, which you see up here. In the northern part of Japan. Right there where the little blue dot is. And that was a shake meter 5, which isn't really that bad. And then there was a 6.4, but look at all the ones in between. 5.5, 5.9, 5.6, 5.2, and then another in the red, 6.4, all in the same spot. And then look at all these, again, Japan, Indonesia, another place we've warned all the time. Japan. Oh, Alaska. Where was that one in Alaska? Oh, that was down in the volcanic islands, okay. Something we said, we would see earthquakes in a big volcano that's going to go off right down here. If you recall, I said that not that long ago. Could it be right there where that dot is? Look, Japan. And then that whole one in Russia is still going off right there. Like crazy. Remember that big volcano? Remember Spirit told us that a sleeping giant would awaken? That was that sleeping giant volcano right there in Russia off that tip. That brought an actual tsunami just as predicted. There we go, Japan. I mean, Japan's just getting hit one after another. 4.5, 4.8, 5.0. Back to, what's this one? Oh, that's down near Peru. All right, Argentina, excuse me. Japan, Turkey. Turkey's another one that I said just recently is going to get hit really hard. I think I'm going to say that again today. Japan, Guam, Japan, Turkey, Japan. Oh, Taiwan, 5.1. Japan, Turkey, Japan. Argentina again. So Argentina seems to be getting some activity down there. And Chile. Look, Japan again. Turkey, Japan. Our friends down under in New Zealand. Down there. How about that? Can we zoom in on that? You're going to keep getting, well, you see it down there. And look, it's just Japan. Greece got one. Sister Lori just came back from Greece. I told her to watch. You might get a volcano while you're there visiting. So could Greece be getting a volcano? Chile. Russia again. Where's this one? Wait, can we zoom in on that one real quick? Oh, that's right there along that fault line. Oh, come on, computer. Agree with me. There we go. This is the area of the fault line that I pointed to in the past where I saw a big rift happening that would cause big tsunamis that would come in several directions. Parts of Japan, all the way down over here. Zoom in. But that's what we got going on for earthquake activity, friends. So it is peaked. It was at 154 yesterday, so it went down by 10. But that'll go back up. Especially early December, we're going to even see more big shakings. But that's what we got in the realm of earthquakes. So again, that number is about to rise quite significantly in the very near future, over the next couple days. And as we close in on the new moon, when is the new moon? New moon's like next week, I would believe, right? 5th, around the 19th, I would imagine, 18th, somewhere around there would be the new moon. And like we saw back in August, with the energies, remember how everything started to get very shaky. And back in August, I showed you we had more than 250 earthquakes in 1 week that were 4.5 or higher. That was like the highest amount I've ever seen. I sent warnings to Madagascar today. I don't know what's going on with Madagascar, but it popped in my mind yesterday, and I feel like something is shaking in Madagascar. And I don't know if that's going to be earthquake related, maybe even a small tsunami. I'm not sure. It could be some other type of big shaking. It doesn't have to be necessarily earth related, but it popped in my mind, Madagascar, and I had to put that out there. Another warning for Afghanistan, Turkey, and India as well. Those 3 areas I warn of big earthquakes. And I spoke about all of these just recently, but I wanted to mention them again today, along with our friends in Japan and even over there in Alaska. Because so much more is to come, including huge volcanic blast. Get ready for the blast. And I feel like that blast happening in American territory is going to happen soon too. So we've got to keep an eye on things. Next year it's going to be really wild when it comes to earthquakes and events like that. Much more wilder than this year. But there's still more to come this year. And now with Jupiter in Cancer retrograde highlighting the waters even more so, I expect that we're going to see several tsunamis. And as I've been warning all year, I know, but the year's not quite over yet, friends. The year's not quite over yet. A lot can happen before the year comes to an end, as we know. We also have major flooding in countries and evacuation of more than 1 million people, 1.4 million people evacuated in the Philippines after a major typhoon claimed over 40 lives so far. Major flooding and loss of life also occurred in Vietnam. That's another place that I warned not that long ago. And then we see heavy flooding in both West Africa, East Africa, and it's just the start, friends, of much more to come in the way of floods and water. And even certain areas drying up. So I see things drying up too, as I said earlier. Now, this can bring more focus to the waters as well. Like, for example, the health of the waters, marine life, the oceans, and even major discoveries from deep within the oceans. That's the energy we're in till February. So I would expect to see, first of all, early season blizzard and ice storms hitting big and early, which we are seeing that. And as I said earlier, Tennessee and North Carolina, probably other places too. I see big sudden shifts of Arctic cold that are going to strand some travelers, airports and such. And I see some type of jammed roadway corridor. I had this video of this roadway corridor that was all jammed, and it felt like it was due to cold snow and ice. Like they couldn't get anywhere. They were stuck. They couldn't get anywhere. I would think this is somewhere north, I would imagine, in the United States. But I could even be looking at this in places this winter coming up in places like Japan and China as well, and even parts of Europe. So be aware, it's going to be a rough winter in many areas, while other areas are going to be much more milder, which we talked about, I think, about a month ago. And this feels to me like, all of this stuff is on our doorsteps right now and approaching really, really quickly. So, when you're out or getting ready to make any plans, always be mindful of the weather and always be mindful, of course, of the waters. I saw visions of lots of explosions and fires that were going to be coming through the months of November and December. And in the past week, There's been a very large explosion in the Bronx, New York City, which is interesting. This happened, the same day as, the elections. How convenient. 8 firefighters were injured when the vehicle in the Bronx exploded. There was another vehicle explosion that happened yesterday, or Sunday, because I was going to film this yesterday, but I'm filming it on Tuesday. So on Sunday in New Delhi, India, which unalived several people and injured many, many other people. And my feeling on the one that happened in India, that major car explosion, that was huge. There was more than just a car exploding. There was stuff in there, no doubt about it. And this felt like a fear attack to me. And this could very much reignite conflicts between India and Pakistan. We'll have to wait and see and hope not. Another much larger explosion took place at a Mississippi chemical plant in the state of Mississippi, calling for evacuation due to ammonia leak. That's scary and creepy. And what about the poor animals that breathe that stuff in? So many things are getting explosive, friends. So many things, and we are seeing this small theme already of vehicle explosions. Isn't that weird? I mean, not small either. They were big vehicle explosions, which brings to question. Could we see some of my visions, like the vision I had of a van filled with barrels of explosives? I believe it was heading into New York City. Could that be coming into fruition between now and the new year? Between now and January, while we're in this explosive energy and fire energy, along with the water energy, both at the same time? It should be interesting. We are going to see more explosions play out as we flow through the final weeks of 2025. I see some type of a Tesla explosion that kind of goes viral. Kind of reminds me of the one that happened, was that earlier this year outside the hotel? Remember all the controversy around that? And the conspiracy revolved around that. So that comes to mind. So could there be something similar to that taking place? We could also see my vision of a large explosion several floors up in a large skyscraper taking place. That would make sense to the energies we're in. Remember that vision. And I see a much larger explosion coming to New York City. I see another one in Chicago. And something along the coastline near Los Angeles. So I don't know what that would be because it felt like it was on the coastline near the beach or near a beach area in LA. So I don't know what that was exploding, but I saw that. And I feel a large gas explosion is going to hit a large oil and gas refinery. And that feels more to me like that's overseas in Europe. So always be mindful when you're out and about. Oh, another one that came to mind was, of course, Venezuela. That's probably where we'll see, again, an oil gas refinery explosion. Probably being hit by missiles. U.S. missiles, to be exact. So keep your eyes out, friends. And when you're out and about, always be mindful, of course. Many folks in our tribe here have asked me to touch a little bit on the new mayor of New York City, Mandani or whatever his name is. And there's not much more to say, friends. I said it. I told you he was going to win. I said that over a month ago that he was going to win. I had no doubt that he was going to win. I had no doubt that it was part of a plan, if you remember me saying. He was chosen for whatever reason. By who, I don't know, but that's what it felt like to me. Of course, there's lots of conspiracy wrapped around that and that election as well. But we're not going to talk about that. What we will say is that he's a socialist. He is a socialist. And we know if we look through our history that socialism leads to the failure and leads to communism. New York's fallen, friends. And I had people, of course, on TikTok, oh, we'll be fine. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. You'll be fine. Keep telling yourself that. Because he's going to blow the lid off things. It's going to become quite controversial. It already is. But wait until he gets in January. And months ago, I just had a brain fart. Oh, months ago, I showed you the, what was it called? I thought I took a note of it. Let me see if I wrote it down on my computer over here. I didn't. It was the whole document thing. I think I even might have it on my phone. My phone's in the house. this deed that was put out, this documents that were put out in 1991, basically the Muslim Brotherhood's call to destroy America. Man, remember I showed you the whole video about that? And how were they going to do that? Of course, this was put in writing by them. Their plan to take over the West. And their first steps in the plans to take over the West, of course, was to infiltrate politics. What other way would there to be? Infiltrate the political system. And that's kind of what they're already doing. I mean, look at our friends over there. Look at how that worked out for London and the UK. How'd it work out for you guys in London and UK? I'm sure someone will throw in the comments, oh, we're fine. Yeah, you keep telling yourself that. You keep telling yourself that because it's not good at all. Even the little kid knows that it's not good at all. Now, I had a vision, if you remember, of these dark, dark storms sweeping over New York City. I saw the arm of the Statue of Liberty falling off. And it's interesting because I didn't know this prior to the vision of the arm falling off, and that was like over a year ago. The arm of Liberty, you used to be able to go into it. Apparently, you used to be able to walk through it, like you can climb up to Lady Liberty. But they shut down the arm. They shut down the arm of Lady Liberty, that some believe is Lucifer, because of corrosion and concerns that the arm was going to fall off. I'm like, I didn't know that. I never heard that before. Are they fixing it? Have they fixed it since? And this, I think, was going back to maybe the 80s. I forget. But I thought that was really interesting. Now, I take my vision to be more symbolic than actual being literally a storm that knocks off her arm, although it could actually be both. But I take it more as symbolic. And I saw this over a year ago, and now I see Mandami as the storm. I see him coming in as the storm, tearing off the arm of New York City's liberty and freedom. That's the symbology I see. I'm sure you'll let me know in the comments what you may think of that. Now, I know there are a lot of less than smart people in this world. Let's face it, a lot of less than smart people. And some of them are going to defend this guy. But I assure you that they are going to regret it deeply in the future. Deeply. I've seen chaos in New York. You know it. I've seen it for over a year, 2 years. I've even seen fear attacks that are going to hit the city. Something like, sort of like 2001, but different and bigger. And I believe now, without a doubt, that my vision of seeing enemies, if you remember, coming out of the sewers and out of the subways to attack, and I bet you that's going to be New York City. But of course, I felt that there was going to be a multi-city attack, even happening in Paris and other allied countries. So at least New York's definitely going to be one of those cities. We know that now. Multi-city attacks and attacks on allies. When, of course, is the big question, and we don't have a date on that. Hopefully that date never comes into existence. Now, I see not only many corporations and high-level billionaires leaving New York City, it's happening already, and taking everything along with them, including their money. I see this vision of Wall Street. And in this vision I see of Wall Street, it looks to me like a scene out of the show The Walking Dead. Closed up and vacant, except for a few zombies wandering around on the streets. Those zombies would be addicts or homeless people. And I feel that after the economic collapse, that big money is going to relocate. New York City's always been the hub for money and, the economy and the stock market, but I feel like that's going to end. And I feel like it's going to go probably south, maybe even Texas. Texas seems to be a huge center of operations in the future, a huge place where people are moving, including the billionaires and millionaires. Something to think about. I remember I saw a star falling off the American flag. We thought that was Texas, but maybe it could be New York. Especially in the future. And I don't know how far in the future. I would say if I were to take just a simple guess, maybe by 2032, Manhattan and all will be underwater anyway. So it won't even matter. And that's probably why everything's relocating. And I think our government's quite aware of all that. They know what's happening. They know what's going to happen. Now consider this. 80 to 90,000 alleged millionaires live in New York City and 125 billionaires. Between those two groups alone, they cover about 48% of their annual budget. Now, Mandani, when he comes in, he wants to add 2% tax to this, as well as hiking up corporate taxes as well. Well, the billionaires and millionaires ain't going to say yes to that. So 10 to 15% of those millionaires and billionaires are already planning to leave the Big Apple. 3 to 5% of major companies in New York City are also now preparing to relocate. That would be an estimated $1.2 to $1.3 billion in tax revenue going out the door yearly if he decides to throw all these taxes and stuff in there. You know, in the city, New York, they're not going to go out and chase the rich back into the city, but they are going to chase the locals. They're going to chase the locals with higher rents, higher prices, higher everything. They're not going to give you stuff for free like you voted for. Come on, you should know better than that. And they are going to be forced, to tax the people more and more and more. And it's going to be a very negative ripple effect on the whole city. We're going to see more gangs that are going to come into New York City and take over. Crime is going to rise. Homelessness is going to, rise, and the list goes on and on. Mandami has dual citizenship. Did you know that? He has citizenship in the United States and Uganda. And, in Uganda, that is where it is illegal to be gay. Is he going to ban gay people from the city? Are we going to have another Stonewall kind of thing happen? Wouldn't surprise me. Here's another clue for folks in the Big Apple. We talked about Dearborn, Michigan, right? Dearborn, Michigan, it's happening in Texas now too, but it ain't going to last in Texas. The Muslim mayor of Dearborn, Michigan, and all the police force that enforces Sharia law on the people there in Dearborn, Michigan. Did you know about that? And they're called to prayer that blast throughout the entire town 5 times a day. And there's people that were born and raised there that are not part of that agenda. Now imagine if this was a Christian call to prayer. You wouldn't see that in our country, even though you should, but you wouldn't. You don't even hear church bells anymore like you used to. Some places you do, but not very many. They took away all the church bells. Imagine if we started ringing church bells in Dearborn, Michigan. How would they feel about that? They would probably ban it. And this is a mayor who wants to name a street in Dearborn, Michigan after a known terrorist. Did you know that? So there's this local gentleman, white man, of course, that stood up to protest against this naming of an American street after a terrorist. And this is what happened. And it's disturbing.
Hezbollah, bombed the embassy in Beirut, and including many Americans. So I just feel it's quite inappropriate.
You are an Islamophobe, and although you live here, I want you to know, as mayor, you are not welcome here. And the day you move out of the city will be the day that I launch a parade celebrating the fact that you moved out of the city.
He is an Islamophobe. Total disgrace. Totally. So overall, we do wish New York City residents luck, because you're certainly going to need it from this point forward. It truly has been a very busy week, or a very busy past 10 days of November. First, we had the murder and the killing off and culling of the ostriches in Canada. I told you that was going to happen. I told you they are sick up there. You want to talk about turning communists? It feels like they're doing that there. Did you see what they did to those? I'm not going to show you the video. It's too disturbing to animal lovers like myself. They built a basically jail out of bales of hay. There goes my dyslexia. That was a good one. Bales of hay. Built a big square, put all of those ostriches in there, and stood up on those bales of hay and basically, tortured them to death by shooting at them, which is so inhumane. Like, if you were going to put an animal down, why would you, make them shooting target practice? That's just sick. These people are sick in the mind, sick in the brain. And for you to do that, shame on you, shame on you. Those ostriches were innocent. They were not for food consumption. And this is just going to show. And then what else? How powerful ostrich eggs are, by the way. Do you know about the antibodies that they discovered within ostrich eggs? Ostriches are becoming extinct. What is there, a couple 100,000 left in the world? They want to destroy ostrich eggs. And ostrich eggs were actually sacred to the ancient Egyptians, who used to paint them and decorate them with different gold leaf and such and put them in the tombs of the deceased to ensure resurrection and life after death. How do you think we got dying Easter eggs? Where do you think that came from? Resurrection, life after death. That's where the whole thing, the basket representing the womb, the Easter basket, where we put the eggs in the basket. Yup. So sad indeed, friends. And friends in Canada, man, I'll tell you, if I was in Canada, I'd be moving the hell out right now. They're about to come get your guns next. You watch. It's coming. I told you that new leader you got over there is worse than Trudeau. Worse. And I'm sure a few Canadians will be like, oh, he's great. Yeah, he's great. You keep telling yourself that. On a different note, there were major blackouts in Ukraine after they were literally bombarded like crazy by Russia. And sadly, that's going to be a long, cold winter for those folks over there. Now, Russia also is dealing with a lot of outages, but they're trying not to report such issues. They're not letting people know that their power is getting hit too. Their power grids in certain areas have been hit too. Now, I warned November would be a month of outages. And that's just conflict. That's separate, of course. There's been a lot of power outages across the globe. I see power outages coming here in the United States in the northern regions due to this cold weather and storms. It's going to leave a lot of people in the dark and in the freezing cold. So friends in the north, make sure you're prepared. Even in places, again, like Tennessee and North Carolina, I'm sure they weren't expecting that right now on November 10th and 11th to be getting snowstorms. And probably they will lose their power too due to high winds. But I also warned again this would be a month of big tech outages and other outages too. Apple TV reported a major outage in the past week. The website Reddit was also down for quite a while. I told you websites would go down. And folks were having issues with Verizon's cell phone coverage here in the United States, parts of the United States. Verizon went out in some areas. An outage of the Disney network. That's probably a good thing anyway. Keep that network out. And many more to come, friends. Many more to come. Now, months ago, President Trump warned. I tried to find the clip. I couldn't find it. I didn't have time. I had to get this recorded. But he said something about the power grid and how weak and vulnerable the power grid was. I think he said this back in July. Especially under any type of attack, he said, of any kind, that our power grid is so vulnerable, even though they want to build all these big AI data centers, right? And they're so toxic to the environment, by the way. These data centers are so friggin' toxic. They use tons of water that goes back in toxic. They use tons of electricity and power, and you know who's paying for it is people that live nearby. They're raising your electric rates. Not cool. That's going to put a big strain on power grids. That'll probably be a big prediction for 2026, actually, which I got to start working on them soon. So when the WEF warns that the next big issue for humanity isn't going to be COVID, it's going to be a major cyber attack taking out power, yes, you should be concerned, especially when the president of the United States tops it off with saying our power grid is very vulnerable. Like letting the enemy know, like, oh yeah, come attack our power grid. It's very vulnerable. So I see visions of cities going completely dark. I've had these visions in the past, multiple countries. The first time I had that vision, we saw what happened over there in Spain and France. And how it happened when I first saw these visions. Well, I still see more visions of cities going dark. Multiple countries. And think about winter and cold. Winter and cold make cities even more vulnerable to going dark, right? If you were an enemy, when would you want to take out their power? When it's freaking cold and snowy or something, right? I mean, it's just smart thinking there. So this is why I say, friends, always be prepared. Never be scared. Always have a backup way of cooking, flashlights, candles, a little generator if you can afford it. Shop for them. They've come down a lot in price, actually. I'm actually considering buying a second one. I have one, but I'm thinking maybe I'll get another one. A smaller one, just a little one. The one I got is mainly for my refrigerator, my internet, and satellite. But maybe I'll get a little one for the lights in the living room and all. Good idea. I think I'll shop for that during the holiday season. Now, folks who bank with Bank of America here in the United States, and I don't know if they're in other countries too, but Bank of America, people were having major issues in the past weekend accessing their accounts and even accessing their funds over the past week. Another thing I warned that we were going to see, did I not? For even November's forecast, I told you people were going to have problems with getting money out of the bank. Even ATM machines freezing up. And the banking system's collapsing. And it's a forced collapse, friends, by the globalists in order to instill their digital currency and global control grid. Believe it or not. And I remember I was told, that, when I talked about this 5-10 years ago, oh, it's conspiracy. It's not so conspiracy. We see it happening. We see the push happening. Look what they did in Vietnam. They froze everybody's bank accounts and took all their money because they wouldn't, submit to their totalitarian communist control, which is coming to a town near you. It's coming to your country and city too. And I told you all years ago that their plan was to put Trump into place. I told you that. They planned to put him into place purposely to crash the economy on his watch and bring in this digital slave currency. That was the plan. And here's a clip, just to remind you. Here's a clip that I showed in the past, but remember, we get new people here every week that join our tribe. So many people may not have seen this, or maybe you've seen it somewhere else, but listen to Catherine Austin Fitts and what she said ahead of time.
Trump was put in by the bankers to get the control grid. The other team in the Uniparty wasn't moving fast enough. They couldn't get the control grid.
I knew it.
I sent you a link. We just did a new collection of all the things Trump is doing to move the control grid. He is moving very, very fast. When it comes to building, first he's getting the Real ID implemented very aggressively. Real ID, to do a control grid, you need a very high quality precision national ID that's interoperable with all the other IDs around the world. And he's got Kristi Noem out there pushing the Real ID like there's no tomorrow. So they're working, and it's done through the states, but the feds are pushing it. So the first thing you need is a digital ID. The second thing you need is an all-digital financial system. So you got to kill cash, and you got to make everybody interact digitally. And if you look at what he's doing with taxes and Social Security, he's trying to make everybody, he's canceled pennies, but he's also canceled now. Normally I pay my taxes with paper, and now he's saying, no, you got to do everything digital.
Trump himself even warned us that this was all coming. The rise of precious metals has also been warning us. That's a sign. But Trump told us himself what the plan was. Give a listen, just to remind you here.
Many Americans are unaware that behind the scenes, the technical backbone of the financial system is decades out of date, many, many years out of date. You know that. Paul and others are straightening it out, but payments and money transfers are costly and take days or even weeks to clear. Under this bill, the entire ancient system will be eligible for a 21st century upgrade using the state-of-the-art crypto technology. Who would have thought we would have...
No one can say that he didn't tell us what they were planning on doing ahead of time. And the Trump family is heavily invested in crypto right now, heavily invested with their own exchange. So I'll repeat myself again by telling you that most cryptos are going to totally disappear in the future. And most of them. And the money that's invested in them is going to disappear too. So be aware, because that's what they're going to do. And then they're going to make it one global currency. You watch. This is the push to make it all one global currency that's digitalized. Then comes the global government and the global control. That's their plan. But we got to fight this, friends. We got to be the resistance. Only a few currencies, a few cryptos will hold strongly. And it's pretty obvious by now what those will be. XLM, XRP, Ripple, HBAR, maybe a few others. And I have this feeling, as I've had for quite some time now, a while now, that they're going to crash Bitcoin. They being the globalists. I don't know when. I don't have a date for you. I have money in Bitcoin, so, I'll let you know when I pull it out. Perhaps, they're going to use this also to pay off the government debt. Just a thought. And then crash it all. Pay off the government debt. Start from zero. And this might not be till 2026 sometime. And I haven't looked into 2026 yet, but I will be doing so in the next few weeks. Now, the government shutdown, that's looking like we finally are going to open, but expect another shutdown likely to occur in early 2026, probably February, you watch. Next to retrograde, we'll probably have another shutdown. I haven't looked at the retrograde or any of the transits for next year yet. claims now also that they're going to send Americans this $2,000 stimulus check. Do you remember what happened the last time they sent us stimulus checks? Well, I didn't get one for some reason or another. Maybe because I just moved across country. I don't know. But when I went online, I was rejected, which makes me, we're not even going to go there. They ran out of money, I guess, by the time I applied online. But maybe my check ended up in Pennsylvania and never got to me here in Arizona. Who knows? But we know what happened afterwards. The economy, inflation skyrocketed. The economy began to tank. They can't just hand out that money. Oh, it's tariff money. We can give it to you. No, they need to get the country out of debt first and then start working on our infrastructure because everything's falling the heck apart. Soon bridges are going to fall apart. Our electrical grid. There you go. Take that money and use it for the electrical grid so that we're not sitting in the dark. I'd rather not sit in the dark than have a $2,000 check that someone's going to blow on crap they don't need. Just saying. It's only going to go into the corporations and back to the billionaires anyway. Maybe that's why he wants to do it. Who knows? But I would expect that, Congress has got to vote on this. And the way the opposing side is going, they're not going to vote that in, likely. So maybe they'll make that $2,000 some type of a tax cut next year. I bet it becomes a $2,000 tax credit of some sort instead of an actual check. But again, to tank the economy, why not? Send out $2,000 checks, tank the economy, tank the dollar, make it crash. It makes sense. Makes a whole lot of sense. And we can take whatever we can get, right? Of course. Means the governments do take everything from us, so please do send us a check. I could use it. I would actually turn around and take that $2,000 and buy precious metals with it. Maybe put some into XRP. Some more into XRP, because I have quite a bit in there now. So I have a warning when it comes to the banking system for all y'all out there, especially for our friends in Europe, the United Kingdom first. Probably Canada will follow in their footsteps. They're going to freeze people's bank accounts, kind of like Trudeau did to the truckers, but they're going to do this like they did in Vietnam when folks refused the digital ID and imprint. And this is going to rub off into neighboring countries and spread throughout from that point forward into 2020, throughout 2026. And if you don't take that mark, that's the digital ID. That's how it's going to start anyway. Then you're not going to be able to use the banking system. You're not going to be able to travel or anything really, not even groceries. And then that'll turn into the carbon footprint in the social credit score. Call it conspiracy, but you'll see that's exactly where it's going. Exactly where it's going. So I warned you all. Be prepared for, many angry folks I see outside of banks and outside of financial systems, financial institutions, angry folks in protest. And that's got to be over, again, trying to get their money. I see this mostly in other countries, Europe, and even problems in China when it comes to their economy and people protesting over not being able to access their bank money. So interesting times we're in. And remember, this year is not over yet. Now, a couple other things I just wanted to mention is I just read this morning, well, we're still going to see air travel nightmares. Just putting that out there. Still going to see that. And also, I read this morning Wendy's, the fast food joint, is closing 200 to 400 stores. Now, you may remember probably about 2 years ago, I lose track. I mean, we've been doing this for so long that fast food restaurants were going to start to go, belly up. They were going to start closing doors all over the place. I mentioned that. And then since then, we saw tons. I think I said this back in 2020, actually, because it was after COVID and all that many of them did. Many McDonald's closed, many Burger Kings. Well, now we got 200 to 400 Wendy's that are going to close their doors. Kentucky Fried Chicken will be next. They'll close their doors. So we're seeing that happen, which I take as a good thing because I just had a dream about Wendy's last night, which is really weird, come to think of it, or burgers, or some kind of weird dream about burgers. I am a burger connoisseur. I make the best bison burgers ever, just saying. But that'd be good that people won't be eating that fast food, and where are they going to dump the bodies? When there ain't no fast food to dump it into, just saying. The last thing I wanted to mention is the bridge collapse that just took place. Remember, I talked about bridge collapses. This showed up on my feed today. This is in China. China, major. They were just building this major bridge, huge bridge in China. and watch it just collapse down. I'm not saying this is anything to do with my past visions, but I did predict that we would see many bridge collapses. I don't believe this is one of the ones I saw in my specific visions. Definitely in my predictions, of course, but I had visions of different bridge collapses. I remember the one being hit in the middle of the bridge, which now that I think about it, maybe it's going to be hit by a small airplane or an airplane of some sort. Because I saw fire in the middle of the bridge. I saw the Coast Guard going up the river, or the rescue boats going up the river. I saw firefighter rescue people on both sides of the bridge, the lights. It was dusk, then it was dark out. So I had that vision. I had another bridge vision of a bridge collapsing, and it wasn't the one I just showed you from China because that didn't match my vision. It just matched the prediction of seeing bridges and infrastructure begin to crash down on us. More and more things crashing down on us. I also see tunnel collapses coming. One due to an earthquake. This could be actually over in Japan, actually. I also see a tunnel that's under construction that collapses and traps workers inside. That all just came to me just now. I was going to take some questions from the chat, but I want to keep this as short as possible because it's probably already past the hour because people have short attention spans. And I want to keep it short because I want people to absorb all of this content because we talked about some really important stuff that's going on in the world, as we do each and every week. And again, if you're new here and you want to continue to get accurate predictions, prophecy, truth, find out what's really happening in the world, then join our tribe and smash that there, subscribe, the bell, and all so you get notifications. Thank you for clicking the thumbs up love button so that we get this content out to others so the tribe can grow and so that you get similar content that shows up on your feed, if that's what you want. If you're still here, I would imagine that's definitely what you want. Thank you to all those that contribute to the channel, all the members of the channel, and all the members of the Subscribe Star. I thank you with infinite love and gratitude. I will have something else out for you on Thursday. Keep an eye out. I'm not sure which one I'm going to do, but I will have something out on Thursday. Keep an eye out. And don't forget to do that 11:11 meditation. It's powerful. It's amazing. And you'll be glad you did. And I'm glad you did too. Until the next time, friends, remember, be bold, be true, be kind. Be you, baby. Let your light shine ever so brightly and have a beautiful rest of your day. Namaste. Much love, friends. Much love.